Hello and welcome to the Posture Dojo Podcast. My name is Sam Miller. I'll be your host on this postural transformation journey, sharing some stories from my own healing transformation of an 85-degree kypho scoliosis and some stories from experts, speaking with experts from different fields. Some fields you might expect, some that might be more surprising. Today, I'm excited to have Brenda Barrett on the podcast, who's going to be taking us under the skin. Brenda, tell us what you specialize in when it comes to the human body.
Hi, Sam. It's nice to be here. Thank you for having me on. My background comes from dance. I was a professional dancer for most of my life with all the injuries that go with that. And I was paralyzed from my neck down for 2 days because of one of the injuries I had. But besides that, got into fitness and health because you always need to pay your bills when you're a dancer. And then because of my mother's death, I got into Pilates because she went into a very rapid kyphosis. And I pretty much think that killed her. So, getting to that, as you get into Pilates, my teacher was very fascia based. And so becoming interested in the fascia, it just really interested me. And so I started studying it I'd say it's about 10 years ago that I started studying it. And there's in a university in Italy, in Padova, where they did some of the very first groundbreaking information and tests and on the fascia. So I had a lot of things to study and to follow, but it never actually convinced me. Not as it didn't convince me, there was something missing. You go through the fascial trains, and that's fabulous. And I love the fascial trains. And then you've got Schleip, who gives you fascial fitness. And I've done fascial fitness, but it never, ever was the connecting. What is it that's actually going to really work my fascia, my connective tissue? Then I found a group called Human Garage, and I watched them. I did some of their stuff. And the very first time I did one of their exercises, I corrected my ankle, which had given me problems my entire life since I had stopped dancing and couldn't put on high heels very much and could definitely not go on point. And all of a sudden I was going on point in 5 minutes. And that's when I went, aha, these people have something that can close that gap. And therefore I went even deeper into the fascia. And that's like a pun. I'm going deeper into the fascia. I love working with the connective tissue, and pretty much that's all I do besides Pilates reformer work, which is very fascial in itself. I like to describe the fascia as a spider web. It's your superhuman uniform. You put it on, you got it on every single day, and it covers you every single day, but it is like a spider web. And if you injure it, and that might be something that you don't even think you've done. It might have happened to you at 5, at 2, maybe even before you were born, because it does even happen while you were being formed. So it's very interesting. To put it this way, if I take my shirt and I have an old injury that has not been taken care of, and I twist it, there's all those lines. I don't know if you can see it. So that's going to have all those lines are going through all the other sides of my body. So it's going to go here, it's going to go there. So it is called connective tissue because it connects everything in your body. It's a hydraulic system in itself. Most everything goes through it. Your lymph nodes go through it. All your lymph system is going to go through it. It has its own blood system. It's made up mostly of silica. If it's not hydrated, it will get hard and brittle and twist and turn, and there is a way to undo that. So I do a lot of work with postural correction. Pilates is very much postural correction in itself, but I do postural correction in itself, less than just postural correction. And I've always said that I think that kyphosis and scoliosis can improve. I will never tell anybody we're going to make you stand straight, because that would be a lie. We can change it. Your bones, as you're going through your scoliosis, if you've had it for a long time, your bones have changed. They become a triangle. They're not going to have that rotation as much anymore. But we can work with our fascia. Our fascia is connected to everything. It is around, it wraps, it intertwines, it permeates everything you have. So we do have our fascial lines, as in fascia trains. You're superficial, you're deep, you're crossing, but it goes farther than that. That's why I wasn't satisfied with what I was getting before. It is even more than that. It goes around all your organs. It's around your bones. There's so much in your head. It's almost more than the rest of your body, what is behind your eyes and around your ears. So just think
Wait,
about this.
how did, okay.
No, go on.
Yeah, about this whole thing you said, which is massive and it's giant and it's such an important piece. And how did it take so long for this to become an entrant accepted awareness right now? It's really only been in the last 5 to 10 years, and this is like even people who are deep in body work, like Fascia, it was a barely talked about thing.
Yeah, they had no clue what it was. I mean, when they used to do surgery, this bothered the surgeons. This stuff was in the way, and so they would cut it. They would actually cut it and throw it away. Oh my God, now what we know now, we're going, holy moly, you have no idea what you've done to that body. It's I'd like everybody to know this. It is the only organ, because it is now being considered an organ, it is the only organ you cannot take out of your body. You can take out a heart and replace it. You can take out a kidney and live without it. You can take out a piece of many of our organs we can take out and replace or do without pieces of them. We cannot do without this. If we take all the fascia out of our body, what happens is we are a puddle on the floor with bones and organs and a lot of liquid. Blech. When you talk about tensegrity, that's what it is. I don't know if a lot of people know what tensegrity is. If you look at a bridge that has an arch, let's say San Francisco, okay? We have these pillars, but they're not touching, and it just has a cord, and that cord is what's holding it up. That is exactly what happens in our body. If we cut that cord, it all falls down. So doctors had no clue about what this was until I really don't know what made them start to look at it. I really do not know the answer to that question, but thank goodness they did, and they started to realize that it was important. But up until today, it is really not looked at very seriously. Osteopaths use it. It is a big part of their work. Some physiotherapists do use it. Body workers, such as myself, people that do myofascial work, yes, they use it. There's a lot of, when people talk about it and they say, how can I work on my fascia? And they go straight to rollers. Let's roll our body out. That's lovely. It does work. I can use a ball. There's a lot of little instruments that I can use to get into my fascia. And when we talk about it, we're
As well
talking
as
about pinning.
let's explain that a little bit, because when I've mentioned fascia, there's some people who are like, oh yeah, I've done that scraping thing. This scraping is obviously a very superficial kind of way to get at the fascia. Some cases it's you really know what you're doing. I can see you can move that membrane around on that outer layer. And then there's medicine balls, there's cross balls that you can sit on, foam rollers, and then there's the style that Human Garage is really doing well, and actually got a chance to go to a live workshop a couple of weeks ago. And that's more about putting your body in certain twists,
Right,
all the way from your tongue and your head position, all the
right.
way down to your toes, really just learning how to squeeze, twist, maneuver, manipulate your body to just give it movement and give it flow. Is there other ways that I'm missing? That's the main kind of
Those
fascia
are the main, those are
techniques.
the main things we use. What I like about the fascial maneuvers is that it's working from the outside of your body, from the inside to the outside. Whereas if I
Mm.
go to an osteopath or I'm using a ball or I'm using a foam roller, I'm working from the outside, or as you say, a gratz, which is scratching. And then we have people coming up with all sorts of things that they say, oh, you're working on it, but I would be very careful on some of these things because they bruise. And bruising is a different type of injury when it comes right down to it. I mean, you're doing damage to your skin all by yourself. Don't, right? So the thing I like about fascial maneuvers is that it is working from the inside out. So it is working with pressure within your body. So I'm locking and pinning a part. I look at it like this. You take a balloon and you've gone to a little kid's party and they're going to make those balloon animals. So I take one part of the balloon and I twist it. So now the pressure is going to this side and to this side, and this is where I've locked and pinned. So then I want to make the other part of the body, I'm doing the same, and so I'm creating different places of pressure within my body. So once I've done that, and now I'm moving, and then the breath is very important. Breath is always important. Breath is important everywhere. When breath, we started breathing. That's how we started life, with breath, and that's how we will end life, is when we stop breathing. So the breathing and holding in your deep core muscles, so your pelvic floor basically, then presses that outward, and then that is going to make your fascia, it's going to start to unravel. And it's kind of like Velcro. It's doing this. And there's 7 or 8 layers of fascia. So it's not just working one line. We want to work all the lines. So when you do a fascial maneuver, you're working very many lines all at the same time, and you get an actual release. Now, I've actually heard it in my own body. When I was working on my leg, I was working on my ankle and my foot, and at one point, I actually heard that like Velcro sound. Did not hurt, but it shocked me. As a dancer, and I'm flexible and I do lots of things, but I had never heard my body do a Velcro sound right next to my ear. And so I stood up and went, that's pretty amazing. Now, I love using this on people that have shoulder problems because the shoulders are connected to the hips. My jaw is connected to my hip and my ankle. Your back fascia lines starts here, goes all the way down behind my leg, and it connects over my toes. So just think about when you have a headache, you might be able to work your toes. It's pretty interesting when you come right down to it. I find it fascinating and can never get enough of it. I have people come in that have shoulder problems, that have a frozen shoulder, and they cannot lift their arm. They've had a frozen shoulder for 4 months. That's a long time. You can't work. Just think, if you're a hairdresser, you cannot work anymore. You can't do that anymore. Let's find something that can get you out of that pain as quickly as possible, that you can repeat. But when I do a fascial maneuver on the shoulders and the hips, generally what I find with a person that has a frozen shoulder is that they do this in about 5 minutes. It's amazing, and I'm happy for the person that can then get out of it. Also, for example, your feet, fasciitis on under your foot. They tell you to step on a cold bottle, let's roll it on a ball. That's not where the problem is, and that's the thing about fascia, where the pain is, and you know this as well as a lot of other people, where the pain is not where the origin of the problem is. Let's go talk about it. The fascia is also a place where we hold our emotions. When they say mind-body, this is an extremely important point. I'm working with trauma psychotherapists, and it's a lot of talk, and we're bringing out those emotions. If you don't connect it to your fascia, to the body, you're going to be talking for an awful long time. Those emotions will come up, and they're never going to completely come out. When you mix it with doing your connective tissue and you release your connective tissue, there's where the magic happens. People all of a sudden get massive relief, and they go 5 steps forward in their sessions. Psychotherapists are really interested, the ones that are starting to think about it, because a lot of them are like, no, it has nothing to do with what I'm talking about, and they'll close the door on you. But those that have an open mind are like, you know what? And you could go and look at the 2 books that are important, which is When the Body Says No and The Body Keeps Score. And they talk exactly about how emotions are trapped in our body. It could be anything. It could be the smallest thing that happens in your body. When you were 5, someone said something to you, but it made an imprint, and you've held it. And that's never come out, so it is creating that knot again. So once you start working your fascia, if you do it every single day, and you don't have to dedicate a lot of time to it, it can be 10 minutes. If you really want to go for it, it's an hour. Great. Or you have a one-on-one session with a person that's also going to work on you. This is something I've seen myself. When you do one-on-one sessions, I don't do just applying my hands to your body. I want you to participate in it. So I get people, I will do some work on them. They're going to get up, they're going to walk, we're going to talk. I will have them do it on themselves. If I am doing a pin and lock, their hand goes on top of mine. There has to be a connection. Otherwise, their fascia doesn't really recognize it. It'll work, but it'll work halfway. When that connection from that person's body is with that maneuver or whatever I'm doing on them, the pressure points, then there's massive relief. People start to cry, they get nauseous, they might shake, they start to itch, they get incredibly hot, people are sweating, and they're doing nothing but this, right?
Restoring, mhm, restoring flow to a part of our body that may have been constricted or blocked or imprinted with a pattern. It's kind of like internal puppet strings. We have this fascial system holding us up in it, and sometimes these strings get tangled. Or if you imagine like the membrane of a mandarin, sometimes right that it can clump and tighten, and you get curves. And so in the case of scoliosis and kyphosis, these are so important, and I think we have an opportunity to really get to know our fascia because if we've been holding a imbalanced or compensated pattern for a long time, these strings, this membrane has kind of formed to help support that. It's created a compensated type of strength in the body to walk and move around and sit and do everything we do. And so in order to correct that, in order to get out of pain that might be being caused by those type compensations, is a matter of undoing that. And we start by unraveling in kind of my approach to it anyway. How do you see the connection between the nervous system and the fascia? Because there's this mind-body connection that we're talking about. We have our mind, our brain extending through the spinal cord, right through the middle of our spine, and then branching out into the nervous system throughout our body, two-way information, superhighway in the middle of our body. If we're bracing, if we're protecting, if we have an emotional traumatic imprint earlier on, we have all types of different signals that may have been trapped or caught or all over the place. So where where does the nervous system connect with the fascia? Because I feel like the fascia is kind of an extension of that. Is that system? Would that be one way to look at it? Or how do you see the relationship between the nervous system and the fascia?
The nervous system goes through your fascia because it is around all of your nerves. It is around each spindle of every nerve. So they're talking to each other. The fascia is quicker than your nervous system. And that's surprising to almost everybody. I'll give you an example because it's an electrical system, and so is our nervous system. You're walking down the street and you don't have any shoes on, and there's a piece of glass. You step on it. Now, your nervous system takes about 3 seconds to tell your brain that there's pain. Why do you pick up your foot in less than a second?
Interesting.
Okay, so take this back to acupuncture. Acupuncturists, when they put the needle in, they feel the fascia because as soon as they hit the fascia, there is an electrical current that goes up. We've always thought that's maybe part of the nervous system. It is instead part of the fascial system. And they actually feel it. It's hard until they slow down with it. And as soon as they slow down, then it'll sink in. The fascia, if you're working on your connective tissue, whichever way you want to be working on it, whichever instrument you're using, you must go slow. As soon as you quicken that movement up, your fascia will tense and it will not release anymore. You'll have to go back Let it relax and go slow again and breathe into it. The breath is very important. The breath has to be there. Holding your breath, also, it's a signal to your fascia something's wrong. It will tense up. It is when you work on your fascial system, you're bringing your cortisol down in very little time. But getting back to the nervous system, the fascia is the first responder. I'll give you another example. If you're about to have a car accident, that first shock wave that goes through you, you might not even realize it happens that quick. It's quicker than the time it takes for your brain to register what's happening. That shock wave that goes through you. I've had a few accidents and one was head on. So I work my fascia all the time. And I so remember that. So let's take another one, a broken heart. Someone's broken your heart. Now, if anybody's had their heart broken, it is a real pain. So how does that register with my nervous system? It's quicker than your nervous system. This is now being studied and being proven, which is very interesting. Then I'm going to give you this. When we are conceived, there are two little balls that are created, yeah? One is the brain, and one is going to be your stomach. Those are the first things that are created. And they're held together by this little string, and that string goes around them. That string is your fascia. So it is also one of the three first that are created in your body. It is an extremely important organ.
I had the privilege to have a moment with Gary after the Human Garage Fascial Maneuver workshop, and kind of talked about this guy with scoliosis, and I'm helping other people do it. And yeah, he was in complete presence, kind of looked at me, and then I was definitely feeling the emotion. He picked up on that, and just like a straight with his hand right below my rib into my diaphragm, and it's emotion. And he went in and he started twisting. And this twisting is something that I've actually been replicating in the gym. I have basically a vibrational plate with a ball, like a kind of a softer ball. And I'm able to kind of like Spider-Man around it to regenerate that twist. And it's mhm.
He was actually working on your liver. And your diaphragm was probably stuck to your liver. That's what's happening. Your diaphragm is stuck to your liver. So just think about your scoliosis and kyphosis, because this happened, you grew up with this. Yeah, this was happening as you grew. And a lot of scoliosis, they don't know why. Either you're born with it or they don't know why you have it. And so they either say, oh, you might need surgery, but no, you don't have enough of that percentage to do it. So they just leave you alone, or they put you in a brace. Does a brace help? This is my question that I ask most doctors. Why are you putting a brace on? I mean, I do understand the base of it, why? But if I'm putting a brace on a child who's growing, that child for that period does not know how to use those muscles, or their fascia has been locked and pinned, and everything else around that brace now needs to figure out how they are going to move. Once you take that brace off, the body falls down nearly all the time. Children that then have that brace, they have to catch them. They have to make them sit down. I don't know if you had a brace but I'm truly against braces. Let's work the fascia. Let's work, because it is working that fascia, which is around those muscles, because it's around your muscle. It's around each fibril in that muscle. It's on your bones, it's under that bone, it's under your scapula, it's around, it's everywhere, and it's connected over here. So it's connected to your big toe on your left foot. I mean, I tell this to people, don't underestimate your feet. Your feet are very important. So Gary went right into your liver and there's a lot of emotion that's in your liver. We work a lot with emotions, and I am truly, truly convinced that nearly everything that we have in our body is caused by emotion, stress. Let's call it stress, because stress is a very big factor. In fact, in Italy, one of the organizations, health organizations, just came out. They sent this to the insurance companies. They did not tell doctors, but they sent it to the insurance companies saying 85 to 90% of, of illnesses, I'm thinking in Italian, of illnesses in women is fascially related. That's pretty big. So when I love to work with people that have scoliosis, because for me it's a little puzzle and everybody's different, but where if you keep doing the fascial maneuvers little by little, it changes because it heals itself. Always. It's always healing itself. If it is cut for surgery, for example, it still works. It's just that it's not communicating on the scar. It will communicate on this side of the scar and on that side of the scar. So let's talk about diastasis recti. That is all fascia, because all of those, that whole line is fascia, which has detangled itself. It's been pulled apart. It can find itself again. Takes a long time. I'm not going to tell anybody that you're going to completely fix it, but I have had a lot of people that I've worked with close a great part of that just by working on their fascia. And it's, I'm asking a lot of people because a lot of people don't understand it. It takes a lot of explaining because not many people understand it. Like I said, scoliosis is very interesting to work with the fascia because it's just been set in a certain way. It can be healed. It can be unwound again, but it is also very emotional. It all comes back to the emotions, which are stuck in there. And if you ever work with a fascial coach, one of us will always be asking you questions of, so you have a shoulder problem, and we'll ask you, so what are you holding on your shoulders? What weight are you holding on your shoulders? And you'll always see the person do this. And then we talk to them and then we take it back. It's okay, but where's that coming from? I will take you all the way back to 6 years old, wherever it is. And that's where the problem lies. And then where it's not a problem, where the moment was. And once you address, we still haven't done a fascial maneuver. And I have had people that have really big back problems just by talking them through their emotions and their fascia. Then we'll get up and walk and their back pains disappeared. It's not going to disappear for the rest of their life. It's not going to disappear for maybe for 2 days it'll disappear. They have to then work on their fascia. So it has to be connected. Because this is my computer and this is where I hold all my files. The body is where I'm holding the emotion, the experience, what happened. So I can cancel files if I want to, but when you're on your computer and you try and cancel a file and it tells you have to go back here because you didn't work on something over here, and I can't cancel that file until you've done that. That's exactly what's happening with your body. This is just programmed, and I tell this to people all the time. Be careful. Be very aware of the words you're using with your body. Think of mothers. Oh, my kids are killing me. Are they? Because it's your brain. They're your words. Your brain's listening to what you're saying, and why shouldn't it believe you? Therefore, it's passing that down to you. Your fascia's listening. Okay. Oh, man, my knee is killing me today. Oh, man, this pain is so bad. Okay, let's rethink it. My knee is a little difficult today, but it's better than it was this morning when I got up. Let's put something positive in there. Let's work on your fascia. Let's talk about why you have that knee pain. It always goes back to the emotions, always.
The conventional system certainly looks for solutions, whether it's surgery or bracing or pills or medicines or injections, things that they don't need any compliance from the patient, right? Things that they can deliver and have done without needing any work done. And that works for a lot of people, right? Because it's just, it's on them, it's not on me, and it's happening to me, it's not me. But these things do remove power. And if you consider that some of these postures, and I find that if you have a structurally compromised posture, sometimes they're completely collapsed and they're not even trying to hold the posture, or sometimes they've got a collapse going on and they're trying to hold on to kind of a compensated type of posture. And in both of these cases, addressing the fascia is essential at this point because if you've been holding these things for so long, you've got these fascial, like, how do you describe it? Is it like clumpings or patterns, or, I mean, is it a holding pattern?
Yeah, it's a holding pattern. It's a blockage. They're the little boxes that you put stuff in and hid them inside your body. And so it creates a knot. It creates a block. It creates tension. And then it makes some part of your body will become brittle. So any time that people tell me, oh, I'm very tense, I don't need to say anything very much to my clients. I just go, yeah, it is.
Yeah, if you say so. If you say so. Yeah.
Right. Once you open that door and shine the light on the reality that the medical field, the medical society is going to give you a pill, and that pill is just simply covering it up. It's making you feel better for the moment, but is it fixing it? No. Is it getting to the root? No. It is just a Band-Aid. It is always just a Band-Aid.
And when we do the work and we let go of these older holding patterns, we free up that fascia that might have been stuck or blocked or in a compensated kind of form. We let go of that. We do the work to build that, the internal core, the balance. We do that work. At first, it's going to feel like we need effort to hold this new posture because it's unnatural. But over time, part of it is the strength that's being built. But like, even in my case, like, I hold a great posture. And I don't feel like I'm even doing it anymore. There's no effort to holding it, even though I've got an 85-degree curve in the spine. I don't feel like I have to hold myself up too much. There's times when I have days like I have days where I'm lower energy. My mindset isn't maybe as upright, let's say, and I stop feeling that compression, that collapse happening, and it's harder. I'm getting fatigued. But generally, like, for days and days, I can hold myself up effortlessly. And I do believe now that I have kind of understood the fascia more, that the fascia has kind of formed to help support that. Like, the same way that it has the holding, it forms around the more collapsed posture. It also forms around your upright posture.
Absolutely. It does what your body wants it to do. So if you do have scoliosis, if you are leaning one way, it'll just follow you unless you're going to work on it to bring it back. And you just have to keep working on it, just like anything else. You have to put the work in, and then you have to keep going. If I go to the gym and I get myself in great shape, but then I stop going to the gym for 2 years, I cannot expect myself to stay in great shape for 2 years unless I was in amazing shape before. But it's putting the work in. You have to keep it constant. Constancy is the secret to everything. And since the fascia is around everything, just think about the muscles around your muscle. It forms your muscle. The fascia is forming your muscle. It's around it, and then it becomes the tendon. Fascia, the tendon, is just dense fascia. So that is why it never ends. It just becomes something else, and then it becomes dense again and becomes a ligament. And it'll go on, and then it's going to go around your organ. So think how much that would help a bodybuilder. If their fascia is in very good shape, it's fluid, it's soft and malleable, but can be tense when it needs to be. Now when I'm building that muscle, I can actually build the muscle because there's space. And it will let that happen. And then I will also have less injuries. When your fascia is in shape, you have much less injuries, hardly any, actually. I fell down the other day, and people are looking at me going, oh my God, because I am not 24. When I fell down, they're thinking, oh my God, that was a horrible, did you hurt yourself? And I just popped back up and went, no, I'm cool. And I fell on my knee and my hip all at the same time. It needs to be kept in shape. You need to keep, it will help your body restore itself. It will help your body build. It will bring your emotions up and down. Now, as you're doing it, your body's going to go backwards. It's going to go backward in time. So whatever pains you had, you might go through those pains again because it's correcting itself. It's going back, it's going back, it's going back. And like Gary says, you age backwards when you do fascial maneuvers. I'm 90 years old and look how good I am. But that's what I do tell people. You may feel some pain. If you feel pain is not a bad thing. It gives us that moment to recognize where we are. And it gives us that moment that we can then help cure ourselves. And then keep treating ourselves that maybe we weren't treating ourselves well before. So pain is talking to you. Before you get a pain, your body's been telling you at least 1,000 times before that something's wrong. You just weren't paying attention. So by the time you feel that pain, it's...
In the beginning of the episode, you mentioned that you believe kyphosis was part of the reason why it took someone very close to you. Could you explain that and what lesson has kind of come from that?
Yeah. My mother died approximately 10 years ago. Now, she was quite straight. She had a great spine and she had loads of energy. Now, she died when she was 83, but the woman had just done all her physicals. She had done all her blood work. She had done everything, and they had given her heart everything. She was in 100% great shape, like a 60-year-old. They told her, you have the body of a 60-year-old. All of a sudden, she started curving, and that curve happened so quickly it spun my head. I live in Italy, so I went 6 months later, and my mother was this way. And I talked to her doctor, and I said, okay, you're giving her pain medication? I said, that's not enough. I said, you are squeezing all of her organs in this small space. Where is all that going? It's not we have expansion outside of our body. Is this not going to cause problems with blood, heart? Are her organs going to explode? What is going to happen? And he basically just fluffed me off because I'm not a doctor and said, no, she'll be fine. We'll just give her pain medication and maybe she could do some postural work. She had an embolism and there was nothing wrong with her. She had, the brain just burst right below her neck. I do think that any work that you can do when you start seeing things happen, kyphosis, scoliosis, shoulder pain, hip pain, when your hips are rotated, when they're not level, that is going to change the rest of your body. It's not just something you can live with. You can live with it, but what else is it doing to your body? And what else is it doing to your emotions? Because we don't like being like that. So it's also an emotional problem. So when I started studying the fascia, that's what came to mind on me. I could have helped my mom. And so I will try and help anybody. It is my mission. I don't want to see that happen to anybody else. I don't want anybody to lose their mom or their father or their brother or their sister when they could have been helped. So it's important to me.
Thank you for sharing that. One emotion, one reflection of that emotion in the body, and the compromise of a structure is critical. It's a red alert type of situation. Even if you're 18, if you're 20, and you have this compromise, even though there's no pain, you say, yeah, it's just how it looks. Like it's the sooner you approach it as a red alert situation with calm, with you have time, there's so much you can do. There's so much to become optimistic about, and the lessons that you learn from the process of countering. But the sooner you prioritize it, the sooner you realize, wow, I've been invited to go into a very deep place in my body and learn so much. And the person that I'll become along that process is rewarding. That person that I'm becoming, who has the consistent discipline, the body awareness, the emotional awareness, the healing modalities that I'm going to be a part of, the people that you meet with that, the people who are, on these missions to help other people get out of pain. And then potentially help other people around you get out of pain with these things that you're learning. There is so much to be optimistic about in this process. And I think that unfortunately, sometimes it takes that getting to that, I'm almost being choked out. As it was in my case at 33, I reached that, I'm being choked out. I need to take this seriously now. Hopefully you don't have to wait for that, and you're listening to these kind of stories and choosing a smoother path.
Absolutely. There's so many things we can do. I mean, working with the fascia is not the only thing, but I think the key is, what does your body need? Listen to it. Really listen to it. Just sit down and listen to what it's telling you. And then be curious. Go search for what you need for your body. Find that person that understands you. Don't take no for an answer. There's someone out there that is good for you, that is perfect for you, that will understand you, that will help you. And maybe they will introduce you to another person and another person. There are various paths that we can take to wellness and health. And always smile through it, because it is with the heart that you will be able to walk down that path feeling secure and knowledgeable in what you're doing and knowing that you're doing something for yourself. The smile helps. Even if you don't feel like smiling, smile anyway. Yeah. In the end, it makes someone else smile.
Smiling is the highest posture that you can have, right? If you're smiling, you've got great alignment. If you've got smiling with joy, like that's anti-gravity posture. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So,
Brenda,
I tell my clients.
Where can people find you, and what offerings are you putting out there?
You can contact me on my Instagram, which is Fascia Project, Fascia Project, or on my email, which is really hard to understand. It's called brushdadonkey@gmail.com, and it's BRUSHDA donkey. There's a story behind it. We don't have time to tell it. Or come to Italy to visit me.
Good. Amazing. Okay. All right, we'll include those links in the description. Brenda, thank you for diving into the fascinating subject of fascia, helping people on their healing journeys, sharing stories from yours. Thank you. I commend you. I appreciate you for what you're doing.
I appreciate you doing this for everybody else and spreading the word on everything that you talk about.
Amazing.
All of your videos are very interesting. So everybody, go watch every single one of them. They're great.
Thank you. Where these new ideas are infiltrating the human consciousness, and I think we're all doing our part. So excited to be a part of it. Excited to be a part of it.
Yes, I am too. I'll see you all around. Thank you very much, Sam, for having me on. It was truly a pleasure to talk to you.
Ciao. Thank you. All right. We'll see you, everyone.